Celtic 4, Kilmarnock 0, and it could have been a lot worse than that for Killy. That was about as good as you could ask for if you're a Celtic fan for a first game of the season, especially against an opponent that gave you some trouble last year. There is no doubt that Celtic they're in mid-season form in the first game of the season. They look sharp, they look dangerous, they're aggressive, they're fit. There's no hangover, they're not rusty, they're already rolling. If this is a sign of things to come, it's going to be a long, long season for everybody else. So we're going to make this real short. The goal scorers, Hatate, Scales, Kuhn, and Ralston. Kyogo could have had at least 2 or 3. Oddly, he had a penalty shout there at the end that he didn't get. I don't know for the life of me how that's not a penalty. He got the ball, there was a cheeky little chip over the line to Kyogo. I thought maybe he was offsides, but that wasn't. They didn't call him offsides. They checked in that he was on, and he kind of chipped it over McCrory, and McCrory just wiped him out. And McCrory never got the ball or anything. So I don't know how that's not a penalty. I'm not complaining. It's 4-0. But it shouldn't matter. I don't care if it's 10-0. A penalty's a penalty, and that's clear as day. I don't even understand what the argument can be. To me, it's just a clear penalty. There's no doubt it's a penalty. That's stone wall territory. So I don't know how you look at that and just call it off. So I'll be interested to hear any sort of reaction to that. I hope Willie Collum comes out and says something, but probably won't. Probably won't hear anything about it. So anyway, that's my little penalty rant. But other than that, I think Kyogo was, even though he didn't get any goals today, he was all over the place. Super sharp. His movement was unreal. Super fast. He came all the way back to defense at one point. He was all over the map today. If he had gotten a goal today, he easily would have been man of the match. But, Hatate took the man of the match. You probably could have given it to, 3 or 4 different players. But I think Hatate probably makes the most sense. He was, he was pretty incredible. But, as far as player ratings go, you could give pretty much 8s and 9s all across the board to pretty much everybody. The only person that really didn't impress me today was Yang, and it's not his fault. I don't even think he touched the ball more than once or twice, so it's not really his fault. He just didn't do anything. But everybody else was incredible. Matt O'Reilly, my God, you can tell that the transfer talk is not turning his head. He is still, nose to the grindstone, and he is still just as smooth and slick as ever. He was unbelievable today. He was all over the place. We just looked really dangerous. The thing that I was worried about with Kyogo being kind of our sole striker right now, he is our sole striker, is that it makes us a little one-dimensional against the teams in the low block. And Kilmarnock sat back today, and that was fine. We played right through it, no problem. There was a few times where, it would have been nice to have a Adam Ida, or just some sort of big, strong, physical striker, but it was okay. We were able to play around it. I just think this team is so versatile, and, they can score from any position pretty much. And, you saw that today. You saw 2 defenders score, a midfielder, and a winger. And, again, Kyogo could have had at least two goals today, so we could have easily scored 6 or 7. As far as improvements go, for strengthening the team, we definitely still need a left back. Greg Taylor was just he played well today, but he was absolutely sucking wind at the end of the game, and we have to get some coverage there. If he gets hurt and then we have to move Liam Scales over or something, we're going to be not in trouble, but it's just an unnecessary problem. We don't need to have that problem. Just sign a left back. Just sign any left back. A decent left back. Get Owen Beck, or, I know the Hugo Bueno thing fell through. Just go get any good left back. There has to be some out there. Please, go get Owen Beck would be great. Go get him. And he can compete with Greg Taylor, or at least provide coverage for Greg Taylor, or if he comes in and starts balling out, Greg Taylor can provide coverage for him. And that's what we need to do. That's a no-brainer. And also get Adam Ida in the door. That has to happen immediately. And we are going to need a third striker. to replace O, you have to have the third striker. I think another center back is we need another center back. He clearly doesn't. I don't know where Navrosky and Lagerbielke are. I'm assuming they're either on the way out the door or just Brendan Rodgers just absolutely hates them or something. I don't know what's going on, but they're not in the picture. They weren't even on the bench today, so I don't know if they're injured or what's going on with them. But I think they've got to go, and we got to get another. We can't have Welsh as the main backup center back. He needs to be like a fourth choice. Even though I love Welsh, I think he's a great squad player, and he's kind of, when he plays, he's captain material. But he's not. You just don't want him to be in a situation where if someone gets injured, he's going to be the main. He's going to be one of your starting center backs if someone gets hurt. You don't want that. I think Scales is already a stretch having him in there, even though he's playing out of his mind last season and it's continuing into this season. He's so far beyond his potential. Like he's maxed out on his potential. There's nowhere else for him to go. And that's, kudos to him. I mean, he's playing, he's 10 out of 10 as far as his ceiling. I'm not talking bad about him because he was pretty much my player of the season last year. But if we're serious about Champions League, we have got to get another Cameron Carter-Vickers level center back in the door. And if you could imagine a center back pairing where Cameron Carter-Vickers is the second best player, that would be unbelievable. So I think instead of finding a number 2 to Cameron Carter-Vickers, we need to find a player better than Carter-Vickers. But as far as the wings go, I think we have a really good wing situation. I'm happy there. Even Yang, I didn't really think he did much of anything today. I still like him. I think he's dangerous. He's direct. Kuhn looks really, really direct and good. Luis Palma, he didn't really do a ton today, but he's just he's so technically good that he's really valuable. He offers something that he's kind of the opposite of Daisen Maeda. Maeda, he's just all work ethic and defense and athleticism and speed, but he's not technically the best player. But Luis Palma's could be a little bit lazy sometimes, but technically he's very gifted. And then James Forrest is just James Forrest, and you can put him anywhere, and he's just a Celtic man through and through. He's a legend. And he's still going. He's winding back the years, and he looks great. I think today Forrest was really good. Again, he was probably an 8. I think pretty much everybody on the park was an 8 or a 9. I mean, Kasper Schmeichel had almost nothing to do. He was probably falling asleep back there, but he had 2 shots that went right to him that he saved. I could tell Alistair Johnson's not quite match fit yet. He came off somewhere around the 70th minute for Anthony Ralston, and you could tell he was gassed. So maybe he might not be completely up to par yet. Cameron Carter-Vickers was good. He was just kind of his self. He just was muscling people around, and I think he looked a little rusty, like just kind of not quite as sharp as he normally is, but still, he was at least a 7 or an 8. There's no question about that. He certainly wasn't bad. Who else? Atate, yeah, 8 or 9, easy. Callum was all over the place, 8 or 9. O'Reilly, probably a 9. He is so smooth. Just the way he plays is just very graceful in a weird way. It's hard to describe, but I'm going to be really sad because I think he's gone. I don't think and I just saw an article that said Chelsea's now in for him, so I don't know. Chelsea spends stupid money, so we'll see. But I think if there's an offer that comes in over £20 million, I think Celtic will snap at it. So that's another transfer thing we're going to have to get. We're going to have to get a replacement for O'Reilly. Even though we got Bernardo, I don't think Bernardo's a full O'Reilly replacement. I think he's more of a squad player, rotational player for now, and maybe next year or 2 years down the road. He's a little bit longer term project, but I think he's got it in his locker to where he could become a Matt O'Reilly replacement, but it's definitely not going to be this year. So I think if they are going to replace him, they need to bring somebody in now that can play now You can just slot right in. So anyway, that's really the only wild card. I don't really see anybody else leaving. There was a report about maybe Hatate leaving, but it would have to be a really crazy offer, I think, for Hatate to leave. No one's going to pay $20 million for him, but I think that's probably what it would take for Celtic to let him go right now. I think he's just too important, just like O'Reilly is, but there's just too many offers for O'Reilly, I think Celtic will finally break and give in and accept an offer for him. There's just going to be too many offers for him. So that's it. It was an unbelievable start to the season. We're now top of the league. St. Mirren second place at three points with a 3-goal differential. We've got the 4. A whole bunch of teams down there with 1 point. We'll see what happens tomorrow with Aberdeen. As far as my expectations go, I was expecting a good performance because the preseason was so good, but I wasn't really expecting this dominant of a performance because I gotta say, Kilmarnock, they looked terrible. I mean, they just brought nothing. They barely attacked at all. I think we had 85% possession, and I think we had 32 shots to their 5, and they only had 2 on target, and both of them were super tame, and they were right at Kasper Schmeichel. I think we had 13 on target or something. So it was just a dominant performance against a team that really gave us problems last year. So really, really happy with how we played today. It's the perfect start to the season. So anyway, let me know what you guys think down below. If you think that I missed something and you think someone had a higher or lower rating, let me know. Let me know what you want to see in the transfer window. And we'll be back for the next game. Adios.